I tried Freak Athletes Hyper Pro so you don't have to. I've had this piece of equipment now for around 3 months, and I have to say it does not disappoint. So in this video, I really just want to break down what I use the Nordic Hyper Pro for, what its main benefits are, how I've been sort of constructing it into my workouts, as well as some of the cons and who this may not be for. So as you can see, I have this smaller home gym, which I've been working out of for the past 12 months or so. And this Nordic Hyper Pro has been the newest addition and something that I've honestly been watching since I built this home gym. And I wasn't quite sold on it as, I was like, is it really going to fit into my style of workouts, which are primarily more strength and bodybuilding focused? But that really changed when they added the LED developer with the cable attachment. And that's where I was like, man, this is for me 100%. Rather than purchasing a dedicated leg extension, hamstring curl machine that I really don't have space for, I'd much rather get something like this, which features so many more exercises that I can do. I can get way more creative with this, and it stores vertically, which is super, super nice, and gets out of the way of, the minimal floor space that I have in here. So that's why I really said, hey, I want this piece of equipment, and I think is a game changer for those of you that do have, either some digital resistance that you put on the wall or something like that, or full, cable tower, cable stack setup, especially because I don't know of any other cable attachment, leg extension, hamstring curl setups that you can do that also feature a belt squat, a GHR, abdominal exercises, and really just so much versatility in a small package like this. So to continue on with some of the positives, some of the other things that I really like about this, obviously the vertical storage is amazing. Really like that. I was a bit concerned with, how you change the positions on the bench, but once you do it once or twice, it honestly is pretty simple. I've taught my wife how to do it. She still struggles here and there as she's just, doesn't use this as often as I do, but she usually uses this more for back extensions and glute development type exercises, as well as the hip thrust attachment that it comes with. The overall feel of the equipment is pretty nice. I have my Rep Fitness gear that is up here, and this is that really, really kind of like commercial grade steel that you would expect. I believe this is an 11 gauge steel. You might need to correct me on that, but it is, it just doesn't have that robust feeling to it. But that comes, maybe as a con in some ways because it may not feel like commercial grade in some ways. But the pro is that this thing is light, like you're able to lift it up pretty dang easy. It's versatile. I can wheel it around super easy in comparison to my Blackwing rep bench, which is 110, 120 pounds. My wife is struggling to move that thing around. And even I sometimes have some trouble, navigating that thing. So with the lighter steel, it's in comparison to some of the more heavy duty stuff in a home gym setting, it holds up extremely well. You're not going to have issues with it. In the past 3 months, it's got some, scratches on it, but that's to be expected. Just like any other piece of equipment, if you're using it, it is going to scratch. But the gauge of the steel, I think, whatever engineering they're doing with this, there is no safety concerns that I've had. There's really been no issues of like bending the metal, anything like that honestly I haven't even thought about up to this point or any concern about that. There is a little bit of play to it side to side when you are laying on it or you have your knees, but that is just because there's like this center post system right here versus, having support on either side of the bench here, the padding. But again, there's no point where I feel unsafe when I'm on this. I am 200 pounds, 6 foot tall. I fit on this thing pretty well. Sometimes when I do the lying hamstring curls, my head can hit the top a little bit, or at least this most bottom pad. So I'll remove that here and there. But overall, it's comfortable, right? And that does lead me to the next piece, which is the overall padding on this sucker. So I have noticed that it is extremely comfortable and it's more durable than I expected. That said, I wouldn't be putting any weights on it or anything abrasive. Not that I've had any issues where it tears or gives me any problems like that. I just don't want that to happen because it's nice and pretty, right? But that said, I have laid my 25-pound plates, iron plates that I have over here on top of it. And it did seem to just look a little bit sketchy. So I would be mindful of resting items on top of this, especially those that are heavier or more abrasive. This cleans pretty easily. You can see that I need to clean mine probably a little bit better here and there. Just be careful putting stuff on top of it. I would just be mindful of that. But the padding is really freaking comfortable. Like you could take a nap on this thing. Now, this does lead me to one of the cons that I've found. I can't even say it's really a con so much for the freak athlete Hyper Pro as it is just like my minimal space. Well, I guess you can say it's really just the attachments, right? There's a lot of attachments here, and it has taken up a good amount of space. The vertical storage itself has been great, and it fits very nicely. I put it over here to the left of my squat rack and cables, and it fits nicely. But this guy right here, the leg attachment, it is definitely in the way, and it is a shin hazard at times. If you have little kids, I have a 15-month-old, you got to be careful with some of this. And I would even say with this as well, just because, kids, right? They'll find a way to hurt themselves on something. It is stable. Like if I bumped into it multiple times myself, has not fallen over, nothing like that. This, on the other hand, falls over quite easily. And yeah, this is something I definitely worry about with my kiddo. Probably shouldn't have your kids in the gym anyways. I try to keep my kid out of this area as much as I possibly can, but it can be difficult. So just be mindful of that if you have little ones. But yeah, this guy here, I would say of all the storage, it is a bit tough to store that. Whereas these other pieces, right, the belt squat attachment piece here, it stores very nicely on the shelf. So do these other components. I just kind of put them around and they work fine. This guy, bit of a hazard at times, and it's just not stable. I think that's the biggest gripe, is that it's just unstable. So something I have been doing is kind of lining it up with my storage over here. I have some shelves, and I'll slide it in this little groove here, and that does keep it from falling over left or right as much. But it is a bit of a pain in some ways. And then again, like the vertical storage on this has been wonderful, gets out of the way. But when you do lie it down, it does take up a good amount of space, especially when you have everything attached, specifically the belt squat attachment. This thing, I'm 6 foot. It's almost as tall as me. When you get everything attached out to it, it takes up a good amount of space. So from this wall to this wall, I'm dealing with close to 10 feet, maybe about 9.5 feet. This, I cannot do belt squats or calf raises when everything is fully pulled out. So I do have to go at an angle, especially for my hamstring curls and my leg extensions, calf raises on this thing with the belt squat attachment. I have to go at a diagonal in this smaller room. So that is something to definitely keep in mind. And then when it's all laid out, it's a monster, right? But again, it's versatile. This thing is like a fitness transformer, right? And it can just break down, it condenses, it can separate the different pieces so that we can store it and modulate it as needed. And then, put it all back together, right? Transform it into whatever you need at that point in time. So it does, when it's all laid out, kind of disrupt the feng shui of the smaller space. It's just something to consider when you are looking to purchase this, especially with the additional attachments. And with that said, I would not purchase this without the belt squat attachment. So the belt squat attachment, I really didn't think I was going to use this. And I will admit that I have not used the piece where, it allows for you to row and like the straps and all of that stuff. I have not used that yet, just because I have a cable stack here. But the belt squat attachment, I found myself using so much more often. So once I've never really done belt squats before, always ran front squats and back squats, but adding this to my fitness routine, my workout routine, has been a game changer. And it's something I've really, really enjoyed. And I would say for people that are looking to especially grow their calves, a calf raise on this thing has been amazing. And it is the only way I've really been able to simulate something in a commercial gym or anything closely related to like a machine calf raise that you would see in a commercial gym. So I am absolutely loving the belt squat attachment. I did not expect to like it as much as I do. And to have that added feature into this entire package has just been amazing and such a surprise. So yeah, totally recommend that part of this. And then again, with the leg extension attachment, that was the primary focus of why I got this. Adding that cable component to it, again, completely changes the game. And I've been able to hit, I would say 90% of what I would want from a commercial gym in this space here. So for those of you that already have an established home gym, you've got some cables, you've got some different things like that, even plate resisted cable stacks or something, you can still hook this stuff up and get a ton out of it. And one thing that is a freaking hack and that I've absolutely enjoyed, I believe it's Gray Matter or Joe Gray, his channel showed this to me, but you can take one of these little guys here, hook it up, and then for your back extensions, you can actually load this up. And that's become a primary hinge movement for me. This was, I think, $20 on Amazon. And I like absolutely amazing exercise, especially with my cable stack. And again, I just keep finding new ways to that I can use this piece of equipment for my leg days, really taking my workouts to that next level, as well as just my home gym in general. Like I'm really just enjoying this so much. I've enjoyed it so much to the point where I'm even, telling my clients about it, and they're, looking to purchase this, especially when some Black Friday deals and all that roll around. They're looking at this for sure. Now, again, things I haven't used, like I said, the straps on it for the rows and all that stuff, and the plate loaded variations there. I have not used it for that because I just already have cable stacks that I can do a lot of those exercises for. For abdominals, I have done some of the GHR full, abdominal extended and then come back up. Those are absolutely brutal, and they're just not in my current routine right now. I'm working on a lot more calisthenic kind of toes to bar right now. Obviously, the Nordics on this, if you've watched any review on this, that's what this is made for. And I'm not going to tell you that it's amazing for it, because obviously it is. And everyone else is going to tell you that if you've looked at reviews online. That has been a game changer, and obviously just modulating how far you can go down. Wonderful addition to this. And the main thing I honestly have to admit that I have not used much for this is the GHR setup for this. It's easy to put on there, but I really just, in my programming right now, haven't found a need for this at this moment in time. There's the reverse hypers. I did try that out just because I was curious about it, and just because I can't load it up all that much. I tried it with the cable stack. Again, Joe Gray, check out his channel and his review of this thing. Tried it out with a little bit of resistance, but just couldn't quite get the feel for it. And again, I've got the loaded back extensions with the cable on this now. So I just really haven't found a use for that piece of equipment. And it's honestly just kind of sat over there and not been used all that much. But I really think for the selling point, and again, just for this fitting into my gym and the way I train, especially with a lot of cables, the leg developer with the cable attachment and the belt squat and just the piece of equipment for abdominals and Nordics, it's a no-brainer. A lot of this stuff, again, just the fact that I was going to have to spend almost $600 for a dedicated seated hamstring curl and leg extension, that's going to sit there in the way for 2 exercises. For $600, I could pay a little bit more and get something that allows me to do so much more, especially with the belt squat, which I was surprised about. And it's just a no-brainer, in my opinion. The addition of the cable versatility is just amazing. And the vertical storage too. If you get a leg extension seated hamstring curl, that thing's heavy, and it's a workout just to move that thing around a lot of the times. Whereas this, I can literally put it on the wheels and just roll it anywhere I want, get it out of the way, put it on the other side of the basement if I need to. If the kid does come in here I put it down flat and he can crawl on top of it. It gives him something to do. So it's just been so versatile in so many ways, and really just kind of talking through this and making this video, I'm just like, wow, like it really is incredible how, these guys are making fitness transformers over here. So I really do enjoy this. I highly, highly recommend it. If you're looking at this just for the reverse hypers, I wouldn't do that. But I think for all the abdominal exercises, the lead development that you can get out of this, as well as, the plate loaded rowing and the straps that come with it, I think those are great too, if you don't have something like this cable tower over here. I hope this review helps you guys out and gives you a little bit more of like a view into how I utilize this, other ways that you can utilize this. I don't think people are talking enough. And honestly, I think Freak Athlete needs to be talking more about the cable attachment. That is incredible feature here, and something that I just continue to find more stuff that I can do with it. And I am hoping to experiment with it a little bit more as I'm starting a new block of my training. So hope you guys found this helpful. Definitely check out Freak Athlete, the Hyper Pro, all the attachment points for it. And if you guys have any specific questions, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer those.